Well, my friends, we just witnessed a daylight robbery with this PSG qualification against Monaco, and my heart was absolutely not ready for it. We were expecting a high level tactical duel between the Rock and the Capital, but what we got was a beautifully organized piece of absolute chaos. The nets rattled so many times that we eventually lost count of the goals as the aggregate score hit a completely lunar 5-4. It's typically the kind of scenario that drags you through every emotion from laughter to tears, in just a few minutes. Seriously, the Parisian defense at times felt like trying to hold back the ocean with a sieve, but what an incredible display of mental resilience. The Monegasques were coming from everywhere, driven by a wild desire to flip the script, and they nearly pulled off their poker move on the Rock. It felt like every single attack was a national red alert, forcing Parisian fans to check their blood pressure every 5 seconds. But hey, with the talent they have up front, you know Paris can sleep soundly, or almost, as long as they have a lead. On Monaco's side, honestly, they have nothing to be ashamed of because they played some vintage champagne football that sparkled in everyone's eyes. They attacked without any complexes, looking like they were playing a neighborhood match with a Champions League spot on the line. It was so refreshing to see a League One team rattle the great Parisian ogre with such flair and verticality in their style of play. It's just a shame they lacked that tiny bit of luck or solidity against the clinical counterattacks that eventually punished them. The return leg at the park was a total furnace. The atmosphere was so loud you couldn't even hear yourself think in the middle of that crazed crowd. The supporters played their role as the 12th man to perfection, pushing behind every acceleration and every sliding tackle from their heroes. You could feel that the fate of this double confrontation was hanging by a thread, a small mistake, or a flash of individual genius. And when the final whistle blew, the relief was as massive as the exhaustion shared by the 22 players on the pitch. I swear, watching PSG's lightning fast transitions is like watching a high speed action movie where the stuntmen never make a single technical error. They go from a deep recovery to a scoring chance in 3 passes, leaving the Monaco defenders with a massive stiff neck from running so hard. It's frustrating for the opponent, but so satisfying for us, whether neutral spectators or diehard fans, to see such clinical efficiency in front of the goal. That's the difference between the great teams and those still learning to manage these big stages. Tactically, it was a bit of a mess, but a mess organized by geniuses who knew exactly where to strike to hurt the opponent at the right time. We saw mid-game adjustments that would have made the brain of any seasoned video analyst overheat in their office. The managers went all in, throwing every last bit of strength into the battle to snatch that precious ticket for the rest of the adventure. This is the kind of match that reminds us why we pay for our subscriptions and why we stay up way too late. We were treated to epic duels on the wings, featuring sprinters who could have competed in the Olympic Games given how fast they were flying. Every overlap felt like a promise of danger, forcing the goalkeepers to pull off reflex saves from another dimension just to keep hope alive. Monaco truly believed in a miracle until the very end, and honestly, they might have deserved a bit more given the energy they spent. But football is cruel. It only remembers the one who scores one more goal at the end of the day. That 5-4 aggregate score is typical for those who love a show and couldn't care less about the absolute defensive rigor some people preach. We saw goals from out of this world, top corner strikes, and memorable scrambles that will surely end up in the end of season blooper reels. It was a feast for the eyes, an ode to offensive play that makes a nice change from those tactical grinds where nobody takes a risk. Paris escapes through the back door, but with their heads held high, ready for their next European foe. Now, imagine the faces of the Monaco fans who thought they were holding on to a historic feat for a good part of the match before it all slipped away. It's the harsh law of high-level sport, but what an incredible advertisement for our league, which sometimes lacks this kind of beautiful madness. We want this every weekend, matches where you don't know who's going to win until the very last second of stoppage time. Let's hope PSG keeps this same energy for what's next, because the round of 16 won't be a walk in the park. To wrap it up, we can say this qualification is a huge relief for the whole club, which is aiming for the summits again this year. Monaco leaves with their heads high, having proved they can look anyone in the eye with such bold and spectacular football. We're now going to watch the draw and the upcoming matches with undisguised impatience, because the next chapter promises to be just as heated. Congrats to both teams for this moment of pure entertainment that had us all vibrating like little kids.